Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to you out there across the World Wide Web. We're in Future Studios, Sedona, Arizona, and we're here live. Future Studios is the vision of Gabriel of Urantia to create a global hub for socially and spiritually conscious musicians and artists from all over the world. Tonight we have a very unique event for you with Dr. William Brown. We often also have speakers here in Future Studios that want to present a positive message. Tonight, all the way locally here from Sedona, we have Dr. William Brown presenting the art of lymphatic massage. He is an internationally recognized holistic practitioner in practice for 20 years. Nationally certified massage therapist, he has a PhD in nutrition and a doctorate in naturopathy. Please give a very warm welcome to Dr. William Brown.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to be here in Sedona, especially tonight when we can share so much knowledge about lymphatic. This is the premier technique in bodywork to bring about health and balance. And we use this technique throughout the entire world to bring about that health and balance. Lymphatic massage, truly the secret truth to health and wellness. And so the first thing I'd like to share with you is a poem that I wrote because lymphatic is really one of the loves of my life. I mean, I love God, and I love my wife, I love myself. And since God is love, I can truly say that I love each and every one of you. So I've written this poem because it expresses the love I have for this work. Lymphatic massage, a gestalt where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. The secret truth? What is truth? Your truth? My truth? Can you handle the truth? Know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Free of what? Ignorance? But wait, ignorance is bliss. Is that really the truth, or just an opinion? Is the truth self-evident, or does the truth hide where now just went? What is the truth but a message that's sent from the heart to the brain, so the presence of the divine can reign? Truth is what many claim to say, but does it become opinion in the light of day? Bob Marley said, "In the presence of water, the fool is thirsty. In the presence of knowledge, the fool is ignorant. In the presence of love, the fool is lonely." We are never alone, never, never alone. The love of God, the power of the divine spirit flows through the living water of our bodies in the lymphatic system. Secrets only empower the few, not me or you. The revelation of secrets empowers the many. The truth belongs in the mass consciousness, for it may change the world. The unique blending of body, mind, and spirit as expressed through the lymphatic massage bridges the gap between the here and the now. Listen to the whisper of God between the thoughts and acts and learn to allow. Relax the body, free the mind, liberate the spirit. The sound of the universe, now you can hear it. The truth of existence, now you are near it. Lymphatic massage, a well-kept secret, all right. This is our revelation that I speak to you tonight. Rise up from the ordinary and ascend to the heights, because the truth is what you'll find in the power of love and a lymphatic that's done right. Thank you. Blues Dogs, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me tonight. This talk is really going to help to distinguish some ideas that have been muddled out in the world. We're going to clarify that tonight. And one of the things we're going to clarify is what lymphatic really is. Everybody has their own opinion about what lymphatic really is. I'll bet most of you even have a friend that does lymphatic on the side of some form. If we were to talk about football, and I'd say, let's play football, would I be talking about soccer? Or would I be talking about the NFL? Or maybe the Canadian Football League? I might even be talking about rugby, or maybe even hacky sack. They're all football. But we must make a distinction so that we are all on the same page and we know really what we're talking about. And the same thing is true with lymphatic. When you talk to someone about lymphatic, they may say, I don't know what it is, but I call it lymphatic. That's what somebody told me it was. You know, everybody's got one, so we all do lymphatic. When in fact, what I really want you to think about is what is the secret that you want to know the truth about? What is the truth that you are seeking? The truth that I've discovered in my heart is that lymphatic is really and truly the river of your life. It is the unending flow of the now. Now that sounds real poetic, so let's look at something really practical to understand how lymphatic works. Back in the 18th century, there was a doctor by the name of Alex Carrel. He took a chicken heart and he left a vein and an artery and a lymphatic attached to the chicken heart. And as long as the fluids flowed through that chicken heart, it would beat indefinitely. Then one day, Dr. Carrel cut the vein and cut the artery, but the chicken heart still continued to beat day after day, week after week, month after month. Till finally one day, he cut the lymphatic that went to the chicken heart, and the chicken heart died immediately. Proof positive that without the lymphatic flow, there is no life. Sort of like back in the last election, they talked about momentum, and then someone had big momentum, and the big momentum went to slow momentum, to no momentum. Well, with lymphatic, you must have the flow. No flow, no go. Now, the lymphatic system is the gateway to the universal self, the physical connection to understanding quantum physics. Lymphatic is an interdimensional and extracellular experience of evolution, your evolution, my evolution, your ascension to the true expression of love in the way of the Most High. the glow of health and the balance of mind and emotions. Lymphatic massage is a springboard for your spirit, for the great leap of faith, faith in things that are known but unseen, faith in things believed but not yet experienced, faith in the expression of spirit that awaits your acknowledgement of the secret truth from deep within your very being. The art and science of lymphatic, the ancient future science method of spiritual and energetic self-development, through the use of the universal principles of truth as expressed through the lymphatic massage. Then this is the secret truth of lymphatic massage, that, like the martial arts, it is a system of self-development. The discipline of lymphatics is easy, as opposed to the relentless reparations and the mastery of pain as seen in most martial arts. In lymphatic, all you have to do is show up. No pain, lots of gain. It's not hard to show up when it feels so good. How many times do you need to feel in perfect balance before you tend to stay in that place of equilibrium, of harmony, of integrated, tranquil flow of mind, body, and spirit through regular lymphatic massage? Now, when I learned this work, I was just finishing my PhD. I met Dr. Annie Childs, and she taught me how to do lymphatic in 3 days. I said, 3 days? You mean to tell me I can learn this wonderful art in just 3 days? And she said, now, Billy, now that you've learned this wonderful art, you never want for money again. I said, you gotta be kidding me. I just spent $50,000 getting a PhD. And you're telling me in 3 days I'd never want for money again? Well, she was absolutely right. Everywhere in the world I have gone, I have been welcomed and greeted and well paid. It's quite remarkable. Spain, Norway, Switzerland, England. People actually lined up. It was totally different from my experience in America. People would queue up and pay almost $400 per treatment, and were absolutely thrilled and thankful to be able to do so. I was thrilled and thankful that they were able to do so too. So lymphatic is, there was an old saying some people would say back in the day, that if you pick something and you're good to that something will be good to you. If you want to be happy in your life, you find the work that makes you joyful, and you do that, and then it's no longer work. So I wouldn't write poems if this wasn't a joyful work for me, because it is a way to develop your own inner self. It is a way for you to move from point A, emotionally and psychologically and spiritually, to point B. Just as any discipline in the martial arts, you get stronger, you're able to project your energy further. Well, with lymphatic, it's not that you get more powerful, it's that you really get in touch with the power. The power moves through you. It doesn't come from you. And being in touch with that allows you then to get out of the way and grow. It's not about ego. It's not about self. It's about selflessness. It's about an unending flow. That flow which comes from the heart of God to each and every one of us. This, to me, is the truth of lymphatic and the truth of what it's really about. I remember when I was explaining this work to someone, and they said, well, there's all different styles of lymphatic. There's people that do it in Europe, and there's people that do it in Japan, and they all have different ways of doing it. And I said, there's a difference between an affect, spelled with an A, or an effect, spelled with an E. And then there's something called effective or correct. So how do you explain the many misnomers about manual lymph drainage? Is it something that you do with an electric pump? Is it something that you do with an LED light? Or is it something that you do with acoustic sound? Or is it something that you do by scraping on your skin with a plate? All of these things claim to be lymphatic. All of them have an effect, but they're not all effective. There's only a few techniques that are effective, that just don't talk about doing lymphatic. We can sit and talk about the thousands of lymph nodes in the head and neck, or there's 300, or the thousands of vessels that run through the body. The essence, though, is, as Rudolf Steiner said, when the cosmic energies come onto the planet, they're integrated into our system through the lymphatic system. It is our lymph system that scientists now believe stores the knowledge and not the brain. That the water is actually stored in the muscles, or the knowledge is actually stored in the muscles that move through the sarcoplasm. And herein lies how you remember to ride a bicycle. Far too many movements to write down. If you were to explain to someone how to ride a bicycle, it would take a couple of hours. But when you get ready to ride, you just get on the bike and ride. You don't think about it. You don't explain one move or another, because the knowledge is not in your head. The knowledge is in your muscles. And it's recalled through your intuition, not your memory. You don't remember how to ride the bike. It's intuitive. And that's what happens with lymphatic. As you develop yourself with this work, whether you're actually practicing the work or just receiving the treatments, it is designed to move you to a higher level, to a deeper level, to give you a greater sense of self. Now, since I've been doing this since 1982, I want to tell you about how I was able to distinguish between one form of lymphatic and another. And the way I did it was by following the children out of the mouths of babes. So I told my teacher, after I had completed all of the advanced lymphatic courses, I said, I'm going to Austria to study with the International School of Manual Lymph Drainage. And she said, you waste your time. I went, waste my time? Okay, then I'll go to the school in Paris, France, and study lymph drainage the way they do it in France. And she said, they do it backwards. So I'm thinking, oh yeah, sure. She just doesn't want me to go and find out what these other people are doing. And being as hard-headed as I was, I went on and paid thousands of dollars and flew to where I had to fly to and get a hotel for the week to stay there and take this course. So I took the course, and I came back home, and I had been practicing lymphatic when I learned how to do it on my 7-year-old. Her name is Raina. So I got back with this new technique, and I put Raina on the table, and I said, okay, honey, I'm going to give you a new technique of lymphatic. And I gave her the treatment. And she got off the table, and she went, I don't like this, Daddy. I said, well, why, honey? Why don't you like it? She says, well, it just makes me feel all down. I said, well, how do you feel when I do it the other way? She said, well, that makes me want to dance. Out of the mouths of babes. You see, if it's an incomplete treatment, you won't feel like dancing. You'll feel like going home and going to bed and crawling under the covers. But if the treatment is done right, then I had one lady come into my office and she could barely walk. I gave her a lymphatic, and as she was going out the door, she turned to me and she says, can I go home and rake leaves? If you feel up to it, you certainly can. This, for me, has been the most profound revelation of any science that I've studied, because when you study religion and science and philosophy, at the highest levels, they all merge. They all say the same thing, that there is a divine presence and a divine plan, and that is expressed through each and every one of us. And so lymphatic has really taken me to the point to understand quantum physics. You see, when you look at a molecule in quantum physics, you change the molecule. When you touch someone in lymphatic, you change them on the cellular level, not just on the tissue level, but on the cellular level, and therefore on the emotional, psychological, and spiritual level. When you touch someone on the skin with the lymphatic touch, that touch goes all the way down into the nucleus of the cell. So that when the body makes DNA, makes new cells from the DNA, there's a process called RNA transferase that creates the new cells. When the fluid inside the cell is in perfect balance, you make cells the way you did when you were 18. Well, you guys are still close to that, so you're. But when you get my age, those 18-year-old cells are really important. And lymphatic really does take you to that level. You see your skin change. You see your emotional state change because of the serotonin uptake that occurs as a result of the technique. And when that happens, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with depression, but when you're depressed, it's like you have your head in a black box. That's all you can see. But once that is lifted, the whole world is there for you to make choices from, choices that you never realized you had. And so through lymphatic massage, people are moved to a point where they can then make choices to empower themselves because of a clear perspective, which this technique brings about. Now, I've been doing this going on 25 years now. And the one thing that I can say beyond anything is that when you use the lymphatic touch, you can touch a baby in an incubator, a preemie, and you can touch a geriatric 90 years old. But you can also touch athletes, football players, basketball players, and runners. There isn't a person on the planet that does not respond to the loving touch. We all want to be acknowledged. That's probably one of the most important things in human development. The first important thing is to be touched. The second is to be acknowledged. And in the touch, you acknowledge them both. I'll tell you a story. There was a librarian at the University of Pittsburgh, and they ran an experiment. They had her give people a library card. Well, some people she handed the card to, and the others she put it between her hands so that when she handed them the card, they had to touch. So they asked the students as they came out of the library, what did the librarian do? Everyone that she touched they said she smiled at me. But the ones who weren't touched, they didn't notice anything. And the librarian never smiled. All she did was touch them. Now, if you have babies and you feed those babies and you don't touch them, those babies die. Called failure to thrive syndrome. So touch is as important to the development of human beings as breathing is. For without either one, we don't survive. Now, as I said, I've been doing this work for over 25 years, so I could probably talk about it for at least 5 years without taking a deep breath. But I would like to, at this time, open the floor for questions. If there's any questions anyone has about lymphatic, or how it affects your system, or what time it is, any question you might have, I'm open to answer it. You can come right here to this microphone. Thank you. You can come right here to this microphone and ask your question. No questions so far? Okay, I must have been real clear. One of the things I want to talk to you about, also about lymphatics, is when people have symptomology. For instance, they have aches and pains in their joints, so they take a pill. If you got regular lymphatics, you wouldn't have aches and pains in your joints, because the synovial fluid that runs through your joints is lymphatic fluids, and when that fluid is deficient, you start having aches and pains in your joints. People who have skin problems, those skin problems clear right up when you have more nutrition coming to the skin as a result of lymphatic massage. And we're going to do a demonstration here tonight so you'll actually be able to see the skin change as a result of this work. Now, the last thing I'd like to mention is my new book is out called The Art of Lymphatic Massage. And in this work, I explain the origin and the history of the lymphatic system and lymphatic massage. Very few people know that it started in ancient Egypt by Imhotep, who was the father of humoral medicine. And after educating the Greeks in medical therapies, the knowledge of lymphatic was totally lost to the world when the library at Alexandria was burned in 900 AD. Dr. Emil Vada, who was the European originator of the work, claimed he intuitively discovered the work. In short, he channeled it. It was Dr. Johannes Osdonk, a medical doctor, that demonstrated the efficacy of the work in Europe in 1946. By 1972, the insurance companies, just like here in the United States, it's your insurance agent that's making the decisions about your health and not your doctor. In fact, it's the insurance companies that tell the doctors what operations they can do and which ones they can't do, because they won't pay for them. And the same thing happened in Europe. They changed the full body technique to a physical therapy. They broke it up into sections so that they could get paid more money. And in doing so, because it was piecemeal, they lost the whole concept of flow. Without the flow, there is no more. If you stop up a river and dam it up, the fish die. Without the flow, without the oxygen, life doesn't prevail. So now I'm going to ask you guys one more time if you got any questions before we move on. Yes? Well, if you speak loud enough.
You were talking about how there's all these different techniques that we could use, but how would we know the ones that are effective versus some of the ones that we do?
Thank you. That was an excellent question. And now she's going to come up so everybody can hear the question. Thank you so much. Yeah, right here. Yeah.
so high.
They're going to get it down for you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, got a great crew here.
Thank you. No, you talked about how you got all this incredible training and found out maybe the effects, but the effective training that you got so that people would choose an effective technique versus something that's going to make them feel like your little girl said that was made them feel like this. How would they know an effective lymphatic touch versus the others?
Okay, that's a good question. Well,
Obviously, they can go to you and experience it.
yes, they can. And the people that I've trained, I'm certified to teach. You get 24 continuing education units when you take my course. And people who have been trained by my teacher, Dr. Annie Childs, all do the same procedure. Now, if they say they do manual lymph drainage, then more than likely they're doing a piecemeal approach. If they say they're doing lymphatic massage, then they're probably doing a full body approach.
Okay, and you want more of a full body.
Yes, it has to be full body. If it's piecemeal, then what happens is the toxins kind of build up.
Okay.
It's sort of like when you take the electric lymphosizing machine and they use it, they put it in the armpits and different places. It's like shaking up a jar of dirty water because
leaving it in there.
they're not directing the flow out of the body. And that's why you feel so toxic afterwards.
Okay.
So if they're going to do a full body treatment, more than likely you found the right person. If they're going to do a piecemeal treatment, then you need to find somebody that's doing full body.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you. Great question. Yes. Would you please, so everybody can hear?
You've told us about it. That's very, very interesting. Can you tell us how, what you do?
Yes,
Thank you.
I can. What I do is when I touch, the secret of the lymphatic touch is that it's a vortex. When you use a direct pressure, it's like putting on a heavy coat. You can walk around with that coat and you don't notice the pressure after a while until you take the coat off and then you feel so much lighter. Well, when you do traditional massage, it is a deep, steady stroke. When you do lymphatic, it's a pumping. And not only is it a pumping, but it's a pumping in a vortex, in a circle. When you're using the principles of the universe, the solar system is in a circle. The atom is in a circle. And so when we use these principles, we can share in that power, in that energy. So the first thing is that you create a vortex and you create a modulated circle, which means the pressure changes at least 3 times in that one stroke. Now, the reason why that happens is when you use firm pressure, it stimulates the sympathetic nervous system. That is your waking nervous system. When you use a modulated pressure, it stimulates the parasympathetic system, which is your sleeping system. And so what you find is when you get lymphatic, you immediately go into a deep state of relaxation and with alpha waves and theta wave spikes, which is where you'd be in 30 minutes of meditation. In 5 to 7 minutes, we can bring you to that point with the lymphatic massage. And we're going to demonstrate that here tonight. So did that answer your question? Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay. Well, if there are no further questions, then we're going to wrap this portion of the evening up and move on to interviewing my guests. So thank you very much.